Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care? It's a Thursday night, we're a wee bit late if you're live, sorry about that. Had to finish up my chores. I didn't have anything cool to say or a funny joke. Had to finish emptying the dishwasher and find myself some painkillers and all that good stuff. But anyway, we're here for a wee bit of Thursday night Sorare Celtic Supporters Club CSC action as we are on the cusp of leaving the international dead zone and getting back to all things Celtic. We've had a bunch of content dropping on the channel. We had an international roundup that went out yesterday, and I've already recorded a full preview of all 8 of our Europa League opponents. That's out on early access for everyone on Substack, and it'll be out on the channel, I think, on Saturday morning. Thanks to everyone that's tuning in live. I'm Quinny, and I'm joined as ever by my co-pilot, McBrideACE. McBride, good to see you, my man. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail. I was here. I'm glad you took the blame for that. That was good on you. It was your fault. So there we go. Evening, everybody. I felt like should I just walk out and then come back after 12 minutes? Like, just do a practice run for Sunday?
Yeah, maybe we should have left it till the 12th minute, maybe, and went on, and that would have been the podcast version of that participation, maybe. But yeah, we had some breaking news on that, so thanks for bringing that to my attention as well, coming into the game. And yeah, international break, McBride. How's it served you? How you been doing?
It's not too bad. I actually watched a couple of the Scotland games, so I think the game against Denmark, I nearly fell asleep. But the Armenia game was a bit better. Actually, it was a really good result for Scotland, and it's a weird one. Like I like watching Scotland games, but I hate when Ben Doak's playing because I look at him and I go, "Damn." He looks quite good, and obviously Celtic let him through their fingertips a wee bit as well. But 2 good results for Scotland, and looking forward to real football being back. That's what I always say. Looking forward to real football being back. And it's been a weird spell as well because of all this stuff that's been going on surrounding the club, and all the sort of different things that have been happening. So I don't know how you feel about it. It's just it seems a wee bit surreal in a way. So
yeah, because it's got pretty serious pretty quick, hasn't it? Since the last time we were on, Celtic fans organising en masse. The board are having meetings behind closed doors and meant to be issuing statements and blah, 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 all the stuff that's been going on. And yeah, surreal is definitely a good way of summing it up. And it's one of those ones where, I'll just throw it up on screen. You brought it to my attention earlier, and we've kind of mentioned it in the intro, but there's a planned kind of 12-man protest for the Kilmarnock game. Everyone's not showing up to the 12th minute. It's a kind of visual demonstration. Quite like this, should be quite good as well. I was listening to Paul John discuss this sort of principle on Axom earlier today, in fact. And yeah, I'm sure it'll go down pretty well. I did quite like how effective the tennis balls or the oranges or whatever it was, oranges, wasn't it? We did at Tannadice. So like Celtic fans, whatever the method is, whatever the vehicle, tend to be quite effective. So I'm sure this will be very noticeable on the TV, and will probably widely reported on before, during, and after, you would suspect. So yeah, let's hope it's got the actual impact that we're hoping for, and we see some real change from how Celtic are running everything. Because it's just not to go over it, because I think everyone's been over it 1,000 times, haven't they? Whether it be personally with friends or in group chats or content or anything else. But what a just fall we've had over this window, just a great massive bang. And it's not even a reality check and it's just blatant like absence, negligence, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, so good to see how quickly Celtic fans have unified in this kind of situation. But Jesus, man, is this not the way we wanted this season to be going at this point?
No. Yes, surreal is a kind of interesting way to put it, I suppose. But I quite like this protest because it's like, the fans are still going to be going, but they're going to go in a bit late and stuff like that. And, so it's a good way of saying, well, we're coming to support the team, but we're going to make a bit of a protest. So it's an interesting way to do it. Sure, it'll have an effect. It'll get loads of media coverage, and obviously all the stuff that we've been discussing about all the different sort of meetings with the board and the open letters and signatories and everything, and the polls and everything. I mean, what really got me is seeing one of the ones, and it was like, quite a high level of participation, but you're talking about like, 95, 96, 97% in terms of people that really, not been happy. And I even speak to some people and say, "Oh, go and on a supporters bus or whatever," and there's been like people going there for like 20, 30 years and usually never say a bad word about the club, and they're all voting in favour of it. And so I think like there's the only people who don't really seem to recognise that there needs to be a bit of change are really inside the club, unfortunately. So there we go. Be interested to see how that all plays out, but yeah, we've got to this stage where we've got all this money in the bank and we are supposedly a world-class organisation or whatever. That's obviously up for debate. But we've got to this stage with the support of the fans, etc. And it's going to be really interesting to see how many people go to the Europa League games and everything as well. So
yeah, those packages got announced earlier today. I didn't actually check the prices out on them, to be honest with you, but I don't think they were particularly appealing, considering the whole climate of everything, how they've been priced and whatnot. The first game's on the 24th, so it's not too far away, away to Red Star. And I see I've got a full preview coming out on the channel.
Yeah.
In the next couple of days for that. But yeah, back to, I suppose it is back to business, isn't it? And this is something I want to touch on tonight a little bit, is the kind of the run-in, because the way the international breaks kind of work and the way the seasons are kind of structured is you do get them in these little segments, chapters, furlongs, however you want to think of them. And we're coming out of this international break, so that's kind of like the end of chapter 1 of the season, the first 3 or 4 games domestically, whatever it is, a cup game and the Champions League stuff, obviously. But now this little furlong is going to be starting away to Kilmarnock before we're then, what's that, a full week later, taking on Partick Thistle in the Cup, before the midweek away to Red Star. And then we've got Hibs, Braga, and then when's the next international break? It's here after Motherwell. It's not too far away, so this is a little segment of games that Brendan will be managing the squad for, and we'll be looking for maximum points really at every opportunity. We've got 2 Europa League games in there, as well as, enough meaningful domestic action in there, keeping the cup run going, as well as any, situation we've had in the league so far, yet to concede a goal, joint top with Hearts, as I'm sure the way it is, isn't it? They're level on points with us at the moment. Yeah. So we want to make sure we're keeping away from them as much as possible, as much as everyone's talking about the team in 7th. We kind of missed the wood for the trees on this one. They've outscored us, but they've also conceded a lot. And this will be an important little segment of the season. Make no mistake about it. Looking at that little period there, McBride, I'll just put it back on screen again. Knowing the squad and the way it's sitting at the moment, how do you feel looking at these fixtures here? Braga at home, Red Star away, Motherwell, Hibs, Thistle, Kelly.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Partick Thistle, what you would hope with maybe some of the guys coming back from injury, getting some games and things. So we've had Tierney out the international squad, Ralston out the international squad. Obviously, Alistair Johnson's not going to be back. You've had some guys coming in. Obviously, there's been some sort of later arrivals as well, like Iheanacho and he's, or Iheanacho, whatever how you pronounce it, but he's not really played much, so it'll be interesting to see how we get these guys up to speed. Obviously, Tanek, I think was playing for Hammarby, so you've got stuff like that, all been factored in. Obviously, big game this weekend as well for Rangers against Hearts as well. So that's going to be an interesting watch too. I was having a look at I was going to chat something about the stats earlier, and obviously Celtic have not conceded a goal yet. And Schmeichel said 8 games in a row without conceding a goal, 2 for Denmark, 2 against Kairat, and the 4 in the league. So that stuff, that's not really a problem or whatever, but we've not really been scoring goals. So we've not really been sort of threatening in terms of shots on target and all that sort of stuff. So when we start playing better teams, and no disrespect to obviously teams we've played so far, I mean, obviously St Mirren and Aberdeen, etc., are pretty decent, but Aberdeen's form's really quite poor, and they were searching for a striker and everything. So when we start getting more difficult games, etc., as well, then it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. Can these guys who were brought in come in and hit the ground running in some way, or if there's a period of adapting, then we'll be falling asleep again like the Scotland 0-0. We'll see.
Let's hope not. Rugby Park has been a funny venue over the years, hasn't it? And this year I wasn't really holding my breath over Kilmarnock too much being much of a threat, losing McInnes and Kettlewell coming in, selling some players. I don't think they really looked to have done that well in the window from a distance, but they started the season. I don't think they've been too bad. We did have the league table up there. Yeah, 5th at the moment, you know, four draws out of 4. I think that was the big problem with that manager at Motherwell, wasn't it? Kettlewell, was it they were drawing tons, you know, obviously they won matches and whatever, but Motherwell have also drawn 4 games out of 4. That's hilarious, isn't it? 3 of them have done it. What are the odds of that?
Motherwell are playing some good stuff as well. I mean, I know they drew with Hearts, but they played absolutely brilliant, and you know they were 3-0 up, I think, at Tynecastle. So I think they're like there's degrees of like 4 draws in a row. You know, I think Motherwell are playing a lot better football than Kilmarnock are. I mean, Kettlewell is interesting. Like I think he did. Remember he's like Van Veen and stuff. You know, he caused some problems for Celtic as well, you know. But it was mainly like that sort of counter-attack style. So I don't know like who they've sort of got up top, etc. I've not really seen them that much this season, but you'd imagine even at home, like it'll be a similar kind of spell of like Celtic will have possession, and other managers are obviously seeing that Celtic have been struggling to score a wee bit, and they'll be wanting to keep it tight, you know. So even though they're at home, I don't see them coming out all guns blazing, that type of thing. So we'll see on Sunday, obviously. But hopefully, with the new guys coming in, we've all been discussing all this stuff in the background, and it was a bit of a shame for Iheanacho as well. I mean, like, you know, just all the stuff that ended up on his post and who's signing, because usually like, you sign somebody for, you know, 4 or 5 million. He's a under 23 player. He's an attacking player. People would be like a bit of excitement, you know, let's see what this guy's like and etc. And it was just all the kind of we're not really happy with this window stuff. So that was a bit of a shame for him, but let's hope that he can sort of get bedded in and add something. So it'll be interesting to see guys like that obviously play, and interested to see who starts up front, who starts through the middle, will Iheanacho be fit, etc.
It will be interesting to see. I've got the squad sitting here, so we'll just fire that up as well, since you've mentioned Iheanacho as well. And so this is the entire squad. Obviously, we've got some situations where Ralston's injured and that kind of thing. So if we just kind of clean this up a little bit, this is like the practical. Oh no, I changed. Oh, gutted. I had
Iheanacho.
Aye, where's he went? No,
I've seen it. I've seen it.
He's gone now. I'll need to fix that for next time, so it's the same little icon on the wall, because it won't be the same on the wall now. But this is like the actual squad that's maybe in contention for the match itself. And you know, like you were talking before about the international break, obviously Tierney and Ralston didn't quite make it. We've already got the injury to Alistair Johnson. Obviously, Sarachi's been brought in to play minutes, and you know, like all those fixtures we just looked at there, they are over. So we look at Kilmarnock, that's obviously the middle of September. And then that next international break is going to be, in the next month, essentially. So we've got all those games. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in the next 4 weeks or something like that. So it's going to be jam-packed managing the squad. And I think like you could put McKeown into the frame for just the squad and maybe Bernardo as well. But I think for the match at the weekend and just generally the first 11, these are the main kind of guys that are in consideration at the moment. Trusty's injured, AJ's injured, Jota obviously we'd know about.
Yeah. I think Schmeichel will get rested for the cup game. Like, you know, he didn't really call Sinisalo the cup goalkeeper, but he said he would get games. So, you know, you couldn't rule it out for the weekend because obviously Kasper's played those games for Denmark and travelling and stuff. But if you look at that schedule, there's a week between the games, and then, you know, I think like you'll probably give Sinisalo the cup game, you would have thought. The fullback's probably going to be the most interesting thing. I think like somebody was saying, you know, Carter Vickers missed a game in this surface like way back, but then he had his knee clean-up stuff and then he's played on it since, I think, as well. I think he played that game, remember we won 5-0 to win the league. I'm pretty sure he played that night. So I don't think he'll mess about much with the sort of middle back three, because obviously you don't know whether Tierney's going to be back after being out the Scotland squad, and Ralston was out as well. So it could be like Donovan and Sarachi, you know, so you don't really want to change your whole back four after going in that spell of being like quite solid at the back. So
I'm with you. I think Vickers and Scales are definitely the choices here. Brendan did say Simpson Pussy would be seen after the international break. That might be the Partick Thistle game also. And if Vickers wasn't to play this game, I think we would all fancy it would be Dane Murray.
Yeah.
From what the manager said and shown already this season in terms of faith and confidence in him. I think with it just being an international break, Vickers didn't go anywhere, thankfully, which is good. And he's been well kind of managed to this point. I think they, like you said, there's no messing about. Kilmarnock, you can't write them off, especially on their own patch. So take the game seriously. But when it comes to the fullbacks, like, you know, because we could probably, I've got your predicted team up here as well. So you've actually, with your projected team, you've actually believed we're going to get Sorare and Donovan to start this one. I was more of the opinion that the pulling out the Scotland thing would increase their chances of playing this game. It's one of those ones where need a week off. Stevie Clark going to help us out, pal, you know, and he's kind of done it. Am I missing something, or how you reading it?
Well, so I think the story was that Tierney had like a bit of a contact injury. I think he did take a knock in one of the games. So, you know, like that was the story. It's not like he's just permanent injured or whatever. It's like he took a contact thing. I think you'd called it as well that Ralston that game against, was it Kairat? You know, he was taking painkillers and things. And then naturally, when you go away to play against Rangers away, then you know, you don't really have much choice. You don't really want to be throwing Colby Donovan into that game. I think it just depends whether or not they're back in training and how they've reacted to that. I mean, I base my prediction just based on those sort of facts, and then I'm going to have a look tomorrow and see what training's like, etc. Because the game's not until Sunday as well. Sunday at 3:00, so we're still, you know, like 3 days away from the game. So still a lot can probably change there. I think like the other reason I kind of had Sorare in is that like if Tierney starts, there's just no way he's going to play the whole game either, you know. So like Sorare is a reasonable like proposition for this game because I think one way or another he's going to be getting some minutes there. So there we go. But I think like I've got that magic triangle in there: Scales, Carter Vickers, and McGregor, who are get all of the repeat passes. Is that what we would call it? Like the possession control or whatever, like but McGregor's the rest as well, you know, so I don't really see any reason why he wouldn't be playing. So
yeah, I'm with you. I think the defence will be a case of who's in training and who's not. And I didn't really, if you think about the Sorare move and the whole purpose of him, it is to cover Tierney for these types of ones. So if he maybe, I was just looking, the next game we've got is Partick Thistle next weekend. So there's a full week between matches there again. So I'm quite inclined to still maybe believe that it's a 60-30 situation with Tierney and Sorare, but would not be one bit surprised if Sorare maybe just clocked the 90 and Tierney gets the extra time because we're really going to need him in Europa League and everything else from there. So it'll be interesting to see how it develops, certainly. Ralston, again, like you say, it really does come down to training and who's available and whatever. And you've said the midfield really picks itself. And I think McGregor, despite any and all criticism, coming into this game is going to be unmovable, is going to be in the team, and maybe we'll see some sort of adaptation into the midfield rotations and everything. Because Brendan, right before the international break, was saying, my teams don't play like that. And he basically, you know, we spoke about it here last week. For me, he chucked McGregor under the bus last week or before the international break with his comments on the backward passing and the lack of cutting edge or whatever. So I'm expecting to see McGregor with the bit between the teeth. Hatate, it's hard to kind of read where he's at the moment, not getting in the Japan squad. All the Maeda comments as well. It feels like maybe Hatate might have been in perhaps a similar situation. And Engels is the one that is really the question mark, or the person that kind of throws doubt into this somewhat, is does he get the minutes? Negren's been travelling around a little bit. Is it enough to maybe take him out the starting 11? Hard to say. I'd probably say no. But the fact that Engels, Hatate, and McGregor have all been at Lennoxtown this whole time, like, I don't know. I think there's maybe a thought to be had there, although it's unlikely.
I think with Nygren playing in there, it's just a tactical thing.
Yeah.
So, like, and if it is a tactical thing, then I don't see why you would start Engels against Kilmarnock, to be honest. Like, I think, like, you know, he's not played a lot, but, you know, if he isn't playing, then what Brendan will be saying to him is, right, we've got these European away games and everything coming up, and you know you'll play. Now, I mean, Engels might start against Partick Thistle, if you know what I mean. He get some minutes, etc. It is an interesting one because he's kind of lost his. Well, he wasn't really a nailed starter for Belgium or whatever, but he's kind of lost his place in that squad as well. If that makes sense. So I just think, like, you know, you've seen Nygren playing in that right wing role against Rangers, and he didn't really get much support up there, but it just didn't really work. And yeah, I think that, like, I think he's a favourite to start in midfield. He's probably not absolutely nailed to start, but I think like the way he's been going this season, the goals and the assists and the kind of what he's been offering us going forward, he's been the kind of main shining light going forward. Like I can't think anybody else that's actually done that much going forward, and we've been struggling to score. So I just think he's like one of the last guys I'd be wanting to take out of the starting lineup, if I'm honest. So
yeah, I'm with you. I'm starting him at every turn the same. The front line is, I think, where all the big question marks are going to be for this game, because Yang is still in the building, and if you watch the Lennox Town Unfiltered thing, and if you've got your headphones on or the volume up, you can hear oh, brilliant Yang from one of the coaches, one or two bits. So he's still there, he's still pulling his weight. Balquisha is obviously getting right up into speed. Forrest has had some time off with the break. Iheanacho, Kenny Maeda, Tuneke as well, of course, coming back from international duty. A lot of travelling. You know, he missed the first game by signing for us, and then he comes off the bench for about 5 minutes and then flies all the way back. So hard to know where he's at. But I think this is where really all the ambiguity is. You know, like Iheanacho, does he start from the beginning? Balquisha, does he start on the left? Does Tuneke play on the right? Where does Maeda play? You know, there's maybe a nice bit of selection conundrum finally for once, although it's not perfect. There's a lot of left-sided players that you're maybe going to have to try and shoehorn into the right-hand side at different stages of the game, from the bench or from the start. But at least we have different options that aren't just Forrest combinations of Forrest and Yang left and right, or starting her from the bench. You've got other characters involved now finally, which makes it all the more interesting. I fancy Iheanacho to make a start on this one, to be honest with you. I don't think I'm in the majority there. I think a few people are saying maybe wean him back in. I think the chat was saying something as well. I seen McLaughlin P saying play Forrest, Maeda, Balquisha, I think it was, and then kind of ease him in. But I could see him starting. This is the front three you've went with. You think Tuneke will come into the start?
I mean, well, Brendan was crying out for wingers, etc., and then we signed Balquisha and he started them at Ibrox, you know, and then we signed the winger, and it's like, well, you know, why bring him in? I get that. I mean, you might just like bring him on from the bench, but I mean, Yang's not really in any better position, right? Because like basically he was like going and he wanted to go, and he's been called back, so. You know, you've got that sort of situation to manage. So is he in any better position to start this game than Tuneke is? Like, I don't know. I don't think, like, you know, I mean, my head has not really worked through the middle, but I think to an extent it should have worked. Like, he's had all those chances where he's been through and goal, or not over the bar, missing and stuff like that. So at least he's actually, like, you know, he's getting on the end of those chances and stuff. And, you know, we create chances for him, then I think he will score goals in there. But obviously with it, Iheanacho coming in and working with Rodgers before, once he's up to speed, then I think he'll play up top. It'll just be interesting to see like what sort of style of player he is now. You know, he was younger, he was always like quite quick, and he was a good finisher. Whereas now, is he still going to be that type of player? You know, at 28, or is he just going to be more like playing this sort of link up type stuff, etc.? And you know, is he got any sort of aerial ability if we're getting crossed into the box? You know, Tierney's been doing a lot of that. So, but I mean, I think for this game, I mean, I don't think Maeda, like in these games where teams sit in, is really any better on the left than he is through the middle. I don't know. So, like, I think he's just be kind of just based on like who's been playing and, you know, up to speed, etc. And then it'll evolve into whatever the best team is within a couple of weeks once everybody's firing. So,
yeah, I can see that, and I think with some of the international hangover, as it were, Johnny Kenny's been away with the Ireland squads, but again, he's been favoured to Shin Yamada in the Europa League squad. So I know Maeda through the middle is quite popular, but I could see if it isn't Iheanacho, I could see maybe Kenny getting a wee berth from the start. I don't think it's likely, but I think like, if it's not to be Iheanacho, I wouldn't rule it out personally. Because like you say, he's been crying out for wingers. He wants to have Dyson on the wide areas. And I'll just put my kind of little. It's not been an easy way to bring it up, but this is a predicted team I've went for. Basically the exact same as yourself, different opinion on the fullbacks, but up front, I think Iheanacho starts, and I think he moves Dyson back onto the right hand side. You know, again, it's quite often forgotten. Dyson played a lot of football for Ange on the right hand side when we had Jota and Kyogo. When Jota was just undeniably too good on the left, it was like, right, Dyson, you need to play on the right now. And you know, with all this stuff, Dyson's comments, I'm not saying this would be like a petty move or like you're diminishing them in any way, but if his future's not here, we want Balikwisha playing on the left. We want him getting into a groove in his best position, etc. Maeda can accommodate that. If it doesn't work, I suppose you can swap them through the game and just kind of adjust or whatever. But I think Iheanacho comes in to start this one. He's been in pre-season. I know he's not played and whatever, but he's still like, he's not like, who was it? Was Aaron Moy? Aaron Moy was like full on unattached when we signed him. And there was somebody else that was like that as well. That when we signed them, they were just like, they'd been unattached. And Odenholm, maybe? No, maybe not Odenholm. I can't remember, but there was definitely somebody else we signed, and it was like, oh, it's going to take them a while. They've missed pre-season and they need to get up to speed now. I don't think Iheanacho's in that position. I think he'll be there to go. And that's the predicted team I think we'll go for. It might not be, it could be Tuneki could start, Forrest could even start, same as Yang, to maybe cover some of the international hangover, like I mentioned. But I think Rodgers is going to want to, you know, come out the traps firing. We've spoke about the protest that'll be happening with the fans, of course, and all the drama and everything else around the club. I think Rodgers knows the best antidote for his life is scoring a bucket of goals. Like if Celtic score 5 or 6 goals at the weekend, Rodgers' stress levels and pressure and all the rest of it is just going to go right down. You put a big smile on his face and he can go, like, I know what I'm doing. You know, like, I'm getting the job done. I'm holding up my end. That's what you'll be able to talk like, you know. And I think Rodgers knows that. And coming into this game, he's going to be aiming for getting a result like that. And I think this will be the team that we'll go with.
Do you think there's any chance, Quinny, that Maeda just doesn't start?
I definitely wouldn't rule it out because the Japan trip is fair. They were playing in America. They played Mexico and the USA. We covered that on the international roundup video yesterday. He played 90 minutes across both the games, so 30 off the bench in the first one, 60 from the start in the second. So yeah, I wouldn't rule it out. Plastic pitch, Kilmarnock away and all that. But I don't think he takes any chances with it. I think, like, because if you know, when we're doing fantasy football teams, especially, we kind of think about the minutes and how they are going to run. I think, like, let's imagine Tierney plays. You know, Tierney's going to come off for Sorare at some point. And with the likes of Tuneki, Forrest, and probably Kenny, it's probably quite safe to imagine all 3 of them are going to feature at some point. I've probably got Tuneki and Forrest the wrong way around for how they'll go on. But Rodgers hasn't had that real ability, like Tuneki coming in off the bench, as well as Forrest, who we know is better from the bench at this current form than from the start. Is decent rather than having Maeda coming on in that second barrier, which I suppose we've seen it before. And then I suspect Engels for Negren or Hitate is like the 5th sub, if I'm kind of thinking about this all the way through. So I think he starts hard with the with this front 3, and then he's got those squad guys to change it up with.
There's just all that stuff where he's, you know, he done that sort of interview or whatever, and he was talking about there was bids and he wanted to take the next step and stuff. Like, you know, we talked about it before, but I knew looking at him, see when he missed that penalty against Kyra, there was no real reaction. And he's not, I don't think he's been himself. I'm not saying he's not trying, because sometimes people use this phrase, they like down tools and stuff like that, and I don't think that's the case at all, because he's still putting in a shift, he's still tracking back, you know, all that type of stuff. But I don't think he's really looked his sort of brilliant self from last season. Now, that could be an element of form, but it could also just be an element of he's not 100% happy as well. Now, the good thing with the window closing are these things that happen is there's closure now. Unless, like, somebody comes in from Saudi Arabia or some stupid market or whatever, and even if they did, like, I don't really see Celtic selling, because you can't replace. But apparently somebody bid like 20 million euros or something on deadline day, and that was kind of general report. So, and I think there was some concrete interest from like Brentford and stuff earlier on the window. So the way the Japanese sort of interview was interpreted was along the lines of he'd quite like to go. So, like, I don't know, just the way Brendan is. Remember, he had made that comment about your wages will still be in your bank and all that type of stuff. I think that might have been about Dyson, and I'm just thinking, like, actually, it wouldn't be a bad game just to say, well, that's fine, you just sit on the bench. Because the thing is, see, if he wants his big move, he's going to have to put in some good performances. He's going to have to go in the Europa League and show that he's good, because, you know, he's had a real purple patch and everything last season. But, you know, a lot of the top teams maybe will start forgetting about guys like this if it's just a bit of a sort of wee purple patch and they can't sustain it. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him on the bench. Just just that, and obviously the sort of style of like game that it is, and then we've not really had much choice for most of the season as well in terms of who we're going to play out in the wing and everything. So now we've got a bit of choice. It's going to be more interesting, I think.
I've seen a little bit of chat that I thought Dyson was getting offered a deal in summer. I definitely heard murmurings and rumours of all that, and I wasn't really too worried about Dyson perhaps leaving in this window. And I think those comments definitely surprised me and surprised a lot of others. Not too surprising, like in the grand scheme of things, but there just didn't seem to be any noises. Like hear the wee whispers about these things, don't you, before they come out? So I would not be surprised at all if Celtic tried to pin him down to a new contract in some way, shape, or form to benefit him, the club, both, whatever the agenda might be. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be here past January, which is why, like maybe you still want to play him centre forward or whatever. But I think, oops, sugar, I've not clicked on this page. I think, you get Iheanacho on, and yeah, he's not going to play the 90 minutes. I think we all know that as well. And fair enough, like somebody had mentioned it earlier, like throwing him in from the start is maybe a bit of a steep one here, but I don't think playing 60 minutes from the start against Kilmarnock is going to be much of a, massive mad task for him. The Kilmarnock team, we've not got projections in for them yet, right? But we can see their last 5 games or whatever. So they've played 5-3-2 here in the game against Motherwell, which they would have drawn because they played Motherwell. All Motherwell do is draw. It's some familiar faces. Who's the wee guy that scored the Worldie? Is it Ben Brandt? No, I don't think it was him. I don't know if he's in the team every week, but they had a wee guy that scored a Worldie. I can't remember his name now. 5-4-1 here when they played Dundee 19 days ago. 3-5-2. It's kind of all the same shape, really, isn't it? It's just a little bit of onus changing between midfield and defence. Well, basically 3 centre backs, and then are they playing with 2 strikers, 1 striker, 3 centre mids or 2? In this game prior is Livingston a month ago, and then that's last season. So we know we're playing against a 5 at the back, basically, of coming into this, So Iheanacho is fox in the box, like I've supported or followed or, whatever you want to say about it, Man City since like 99 or whatever. So I remember a fair amount of Iheanacho coming through. It was nice to hear Joe Hart talking on him as well, because that was a similar sort of generation, obviously. And this guy, like, I said it before, but his like first, I'll see if I can find it, but his like first 3 seasons or 2 seasons in the Premier League, his goals to minute ratio was better than Rashford's. Him and Rashford kind of came through at the same time. I don't think they're the same age, right enough. And he was clinical. He was rapid. He could run the channels. I think everyone's seen a good shift from him in Leicester when Brendan Rodgers was the manager. But a guy that's a finisher, like that's the number one thing about him. And the level of fitness to one side, I think if he's going to be in the box against Kilmarnock, no, I'll see if I can. This isn't quite the thing. I think this might have been the start of the run, but yeah, Marcus Rashford 8 goals in 1,000 minutes. Iheanacho 14 goals in 800 minutes. I think that might have been their first. Like he was always coming off the bench, obviously.
How many years ago was that, Quinny?
That was like 2016, right? But I've just found this one. So I'm not saying like, I'm not using this as like current day, like, oh, this is how good he is. But I'm just saying, like, this guy used to be like, and the main thing is finishing. It's not that he was a mad dribble master or a flair player or a big lump of a target man. It was just come off the bench for City, finish chances, because they would be dominating possession, pinning teams into the box. Aguero doesn't play 90 minutes anymore. Dzeko's gone and all that kind of stuff. But this is one of them. So yeah, 22 appearances, da-da-da. Oh no, I think that's after he kind of get bombed out, wasn't it? But anywho, there's a stat out there somewhere. I think I found the first one, but it doesn't matter. But that's the thing, is fitness is like, we want him to press and be harrying, but if Kilmarnock are playing 5 at the back, he's going to be in the box. And any service, this is somebody left foot, right foot, get the head on it, he'll do pretty well with, I think. So I could see him starting quite easily.
Yeah, I think it would make sense. Yeah. I think like whatever happens, I think he'll play at some point. So, if he doesn't start, then it'll be like 30 minutes, and then, he'll play against Partick Thistle, just, to get used to playing in the team. And obviously you've got these games and everything coming up. And then, yeah, I mean, Shin was an interesting one as well. Comes on at Ibrox, and I thought it looked quite lively, actually. There's that one where the ball was played into him with a bit of good movement, never quite controlled it. But his hold-up play and stuff looked to be like pretty good as well. He was kind of linking the play. Thought we played a wee bit better when he came on. And then all of a sudden he's just not in the Europa League squad. So what does that mean for his minutes? Does that mean that in these games in between the Europa games that actually he's going to play more minutes because like he's not going to be involved in those and he's not going to be tired? Or does it just mean that Rodgers just decided that he's confirmed his own like vision? He just can't see him; it just doesn't exist. And because he has kept I know he's not really scored yet, but I think like the games he's played, he's shown good movement and things, and he's like he has still contributed something apart from not scoring. I know that sounds a bit daft, but he looks as if he's getting into positions to score. He looks as if he's linking up and things like that and getting involved in the play. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because obviously Kenny's now like ahead of him in terms of being in the Europa League squad. So you'd imagine that he's going to be like the kind of first sub or whatever in terms of coming on. So
yeah, or even from the start. Like I say, if they don't fancy Iheanacho from the beginning, I could see him maybe just starting Kenny because again, if he's in the Europa squad, we're going to need him to play someday at some point. You'd think, So why mess around anymore? Chat's firing away, guys. Love to see it. Thanks for all the interactions. Let us know your thoughts and the feeling on the team for the weekend. There's a lot of ideas in the system, and I've seen some nice chat about. What number do I want to press? 2, maybe. Yeah. Some of you guys chatting about moving McGregor into the Hatate position to get Engels into the team here, into this kind of deeper position. I wouldn't be against that too much. Hatate hasn't really delivered so far this year, but he's like he scored against Aberdeen, fine. He's been okay for the most part, but he's definitely not been peak of his powers. He's definitely not been stepping up, taking the next, moving to the next level in his career. And it feels like we've been waiting for Hatate to do that for about 2 years at this point. So, yeah, I wouldn't rule out this is maybe on the drawing board somewhere in Celtic Park in Brendan Rodgers' office, perhaps. But I don't see Hatate not playing in this one. Like McBride said, this midfield three feels unchangeable for the strongest matches, the strongest team.
I think it's really frustrating, Hatate, but like if you look through all this sort of stuff like progressive passes, etc., he's the best in Celtic's midfield by a good distance at that stuff. And sometimes like he has games and I get dead frustrated with him as well. He feels as if he just can't pass the ball to somebody for 40 minutes, but the next minute he'll do something, he'll unlock the door, he'll score that goal against Aberdeen or whatever. So I don't think his performance levels have been that good myself, but he has delivered like a few of those sort of big moments in Europe and things. Like remember that, against Young Boys when he did a goal and he just had that, moment of magic where he had the touch, the swivel, the pass into Ida, and Ida was trying to claim it, which was a bit ambitious. But he's got that in his locker, whereas there's other guys that go in there and you just think, all right, like you don't really have that sort of ability in your locker. So I think in these games where we're going to dominate a lot of the ball, Hatate's kind of got to start really, and like McGregor seems to play in everything really, like he just seems to play like all the time, but he's just had a rest, and he even started against Falkirk, I think, as far as I recalled it. So like he's going to pretty much start all the time. And I don't know. I mean, do you think he will change his position at this point? I mean, teams have obviously know that he sort of makes the play in some way. So remember we played Bruges, they played Vanaken on him, and I think at Ibrox Rangers played somebody on him to try and force him to play the ball back. So it'll be interesting to see how that all sort of plays out when you go in against European teams, how they set up tactically, etc. as well.
I don't think Brendan would go to the bother at this point, but it's clear that like our midfield is just never going to really get better with McGregor in that position, because he just like, especially you talk about the Rangers game, he had 2 guys up his jacksie the entire match, and it really highlighted to everyone the fact that he never goes by. He'll just act, and I'm imagining stuff or surmising it myself, right? But it's one of those ones where when you hear former players talking about like quality midfielders or like quality guys on the ball, they always talk about how like, oh, you try and close him down, but by the time you got there, the ball would be gone. He just moved it that quick. I think that type of thing is like McGregor really thinks that's a get out of jail for these situations. Like, oh, if they're pressing me and I've already moved it off, then I showed them. But without him being able to, just get out of defence himself, sell somebody a dummy, play a 1-2, get into a blind spot of somebody and move out. We're always just going to be so one-dimensional where you can just put a few people on him. And yeah, like if you make it hard for him to turn round, he won't turn round. And if he doesn't turn round, he's passing back. And if they pass back, they're not going to get into our half. So it's a frustrating one in that sense, because like I agree, McGregor should be afforded the same. So it feels like the team's kind of built around him so that we can maximise him at his age. You can still do that in an attacking sense, just like McGregor. We do expect you to win the ball back and to press and all the rest of it. But you know what? See, when you're up here, see if we're all retreating back to the goal and having to defend, you can maybe just chill out about here, and if we get the ball back, we'll find you. And then from there, can you go and get us attacking again? Like you mentioned, Vanaken. Vanaken's like the same age as McGregor. He plays attacking midfield, not every week, but regularly enough. And he's not exactly a big pacey press machine. The team are built around him in that way. We've seen Vanaken at Celtic Park last year, as McBride mentioned. So it's just the reason for the comparison and for the mention there. But so I don't think it's beyond anyone's ability. The thing is like Engels, although like range of passing and like energy levels, it's like a lot of people are saying, you could put him into the 6, but in terms of the role, Bernardo's the one that's actually the closest fit to it. So the midfield has just been really weirdly built, because if you're going to decide McGregor is doing that, maybe we've not been able to sell Hatate, but buying, and again, Bernardo's fine, right? I've got no problem with Bernardo, but then buying Engels, bringing Negren into that position, it's just like, yeah, I don't see him doing it as a short answer, because I just think it's too much hassle and he'll just go with it, because domestically we'll still be very fine with it. And in Europe, Scales is going up the levels. If Vicker stays fit, if we can keep Tierney and we can get AJ back on side, like the defence, we can trust them to man defend, and recover a lot more than some of the defences we've had in years gone by. And maybe that covers for it a little bit, papers the cracks as it is.
Yeah, I think the most interesting one is just Engels there, but I think Hatate's interesting as well, because it seems like we're getting to the end of the sort of era of this team. Do you know what I mean? It's like Maeda is going to go at some point. He's not going to sign a new contract now. He's not going to come out and say that and then sign a new deal. I don't see it. And then will Hatate stay, or if somebody comes in for him, will he just say, "Oh, I want to go as well"? Yeah, I think if you signed a sort of more a sort of defensive midfielder, McGregor could move on a bit there, but like. He's quite good in a lot of those like home games and possession and on the ball. But like when you're trying to press, he looks as if sometimes he's sort of chasing shadows a wee bit, and that's just the way he is, So it's one of those. Like he's not getting any younger, and he's already seen himself. Like, I'm not going to play for Scotland anymore. I want to give everything for Celtic, etc. But sometimes you feel as if we're just playing him just because he's the captain type thing, not because he's the best option for that particular sort of match, etc. So we'll see. And Engels in there. Well, I mean, yeah, he has got a good range of passing, etc. But do you really need a good range of passing when you've got teams sitting in with 5 at the back and stuff? You need more like that kind of like progressive passing, and and Nygren. Yeah, he's not been amazing at it so far, but he is getting amongst like goals and assists and everything, Nygren, whereas Engels doesn't really score a lot of goals from midfield. He takes corners and he takes penalties, but he's not really contributed a lot of goals and assists from midfield in terms of actual open play. So I can see why he's been sort of sitting out a bit more. But I think with all the European games coming up, the Engels will play a lot more in those games for sure. There might even be some games where Nygren gets benched for him just because he'll want to go with that midfield. And that Hatate, McGregor and Engels, I think, was midfield who did pretty well against Bayern Munich. So it's like a couple of months ago, do you know what I mean? Like it's like, it's not as if they're all done or whatever. Like it's not that long ago, but it's just horses for courses and stuff as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel for Bernardo too. I think he's a good player. I don't think he can quite move into the midfield, but you're right, McBride is kind of lesser forgotten that midfield did do pretty well against Leipzig. I could have done a bit better against Bruges. Is something I'll just never kind of shake my lasting memory of that campaign. And against Bayern Munich, of course, going man for man with Goretzka and Kimmich and Elise and Musiala and all these guys, they did absolutely fantastic. On the point that Jay's brought up on screen here, I don't know how many of you watched the training video that came out the other day. I watched them all because that's just how I'm wired, right? But there's this training set, there's this part of it, right, where they're doing a passing drill, right? And before, like, so they're taking the ball on the half turn, and I thought this is so funny that they're showing us McGregor doing this drill, because it's like that's everyone's complaint of him now, is getting the ball on the half turn, playing through the lines, right? But there's a moment in the rotation, because you move Cohen, you pass a move like this, McGregor there, half turn, play it through the lines. But there's a moment where he comes back to like this area of the training session where James Forrest is, and he's doing the pointing with the passing and all. Like he was like you see him do on the pitch, and it's like, Jesus Christ, man, that must be so annoying to work with. I think, like, if you're another player, it's just like, mate, get a break. Like, we're on the training park, pointing up the pitch where to pass.
But he's a captain, but isn't he? I mean, like, I think, like, with the off the field stuff, like, he's been really good. Like, I think he's taken on that mantle, and you know, his record in terms of success and winning stuff is like second to none. Like, it's been amazing. But like, I think it must just be built into him now that I'm the captain, so I've got to tell them where to go and all that sort of stuff, you know. No, don't pass it that way. That's forward. You should be pointing that way. Trust you notice that, Quinny. That's an absolute banger. That is brilliant.
I was just like, that's just a wee thing. Especially since always after he passes back, he's like, somebody else, now you do it.
Point it forward. You're playing forward there. I know. Oh man, that is a good one, to be honest.
So I was kind of laughing when I seen this. I was like, Jesus. And I love McGregor. I don't want this to come across the wrong way, right? So I'm a very big fan. I've got his name printed on shirts. Fucking bought, I don't know how many bloody cards of him. And I agree with everyone else. He's got so much more ability to do more. And this pointing and orchestrating and dictating the tempo, he's good at it and stuff like that. Like, I'm quite happy he's the guy doing it for the most part. But it's, you know, could we get someone else to do it at this point and get more out of him? Because like we see with Hatate, like you're talking about, he's the only guy who's got that kind of. McGregor's got that in him. If he's told, like, that's your job today, just you go in the attack and unlock the defense, make things happen. I think you would get wild numbers out of him. He's so obedient and he's so on the script with, this is what I'm doing. I'm the coach on the pitch. I'm the center of gravity of the team. The ball always comes to me and I'll move it forward and dictate play and land some airplanes on the pitch while we're at it. And I think if you just told him, listen, that's not your shift today. Your shift is get up there and go win us the game. I think he'd be brilliant at it, you know, really, especially with the players we'd have around him.
I think he got quite a lot of goals last season, didn't he? Like, I think I was like, was that not one of his best like campaigns in terms of like scoring goals? And I think he was quite good at that. Like, you know, seemed like when Kyogo was there, he would make a run and like McGregor could slip the ball through and stuff. He's got all that stuff in his locker. He did have some, like, I think in the last like 6 or 7 months or whatever, like in all the big games, like, you know, Celtic have not really done too well in those games, and obviously McGregor gets a lot of the stick for that. I think he was at Leipzig last season where we won 2-1, 3-1 or whatever. I think he was really good that night, and they were obviously a really, you know, good European team. And then, you know, Bruges, like, you know, obviously a guy like obviously Onyedika that plays in there now, that guy never gets a goal and assist in his life. We obviously follow Sorare, and like he just like gets the ball or wins the ball and he just gives it to somebody else. He gives it to Stankovic or Vanaken, or he gave it to Jashari last season. He doesn't do anything else, never gets a goal or assist ever, like in Sorare, and he just, that's all he does. And nobody ever really complains about him because they know that's his role in the team. But I guess the difference is he's quite obviously athletic and he's really difficult to get past, whereas McGregor's more of a kind of, all right, you're just going to drop in there, but he was more of a sort of box-to-box midfielder, attacking midfield, and sometimes like he doesn't look as if he can like do the tackling or the pressing and stuff like that, or he's, you know, he's lost any sort of pace and stuff for recovery. So yeah, but I mean, on the ball, I'm like, the stuff he's doing is passing it back, he's looking after the ball. I don't really have many doubts about him on the ball. I think it's just like how we're looking off it. And actually, I watched some of the games and it looks as if our midfielders are running through Chico, honestly. You're just like, it's no there's no excitement level to the way we're playing. It's not as if he's getting the ball and it's like we're playing quick, like 1-2s and all that sort of stuff. It's just, it's quite it's getting back to this kind of side to side and, boring type stuff, and people are obviously getting a bit frustrated by it. So
yeah, I remember being so excited when McGregor get moved into this position, because we'd previously had Scott Brown, Near Beaton, guys like this occupying that position who, similarly to Neil Lennon, kind of get that stereotype of the sideways backwards passer that's not that effective at football. But McGregor was very clearly like not that, like a very good player, a very good passer. And when you've got these guys in the deeper positions, you want to see them long range on the front foot, getting the ball around the pitch a lot more around. You say like just the get the ball, move the ball stuff into the people directly next to you, and that's something that we've just not had. Yeah, sure, he got off the leash a little bit last year and got some goals from the edge of the box, and bring it on. We want more of that. But I don't think he puts himself under enough pressure, or I don't think the manager gives him enough freedom, whatever one it is. We don't know. We're not inside the training camp or whatever. To, just go, do you know what? I can see you. I can find you. Let me play the left winger and let me go and play right into the striker. And just really, because again, it's about threatening the opposition, this type of play. It's about putting them on the back foot. And if you are under pressure from, I've not got other opposition players on the thing now, but if you've got like a section of people pressing you from this area here, and you can somehow just turn out and get the ball up the pitch, all of them are in no man's land. And then you're just in a much better position attacking wise. So when he's getting pressed, he should get like excited or like smell it, like there's some space somewhere. If I can find it, we're going to unlock them. We're going to get down the side of the pitch quickly and we'll get a chance. It might be the right, it might be the left, it might be Hitat. It could, whatever. I've not got other dots on screen, but he never does that. And that's when it's the main problem, I think, is you want to see a guy like that. If he's in the deeper position, you want to see the quality passing balance out the lack of, hard-nosed defending.
Yeah, it's like a sort of playmaker, basically. So that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what you want, and we're not getting that. We're kind of getting somebody, and again, with the greatest respect in the world, we're getting someone playing like Neil Lennon who has much better passing ability and has a much better like eye for a pass in general. Not taking anything away from Lennon, but McGregor's, we've seen it in his career playing attacking mid, playing left wing for Celtic up until this point before finding himself in the engine room. He's a final third player. There's plenty of proof there that we've seen over the years. And yeah, shooting from outside the box is something as well. But it can be a bit of a cop out of a thing sometimes as well. If that's your contribution to keeping the attack sustained, because long shots can go out for goal kicks, and then the attack's over. You're back to defending again for the next 5 minutes or whatever. So yeah, I'm with you there, but it's not the be all and end all. Excellent. Okay. Score prediction for the game at the weekend, McBride. What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
I don't really see us going on a spree of scoring loads of goals, if I'm honest. And obviously they're going to sit in a bit, so it's probably going to be quite tight. And I'll go for 2-0. I mean, we have been quite good at the back, and I don't see us scoring a lot of goals. But domestically, I think we're well good enough to score 1 or 2. So I'll go for 2-0.
2-0. Yeah, I can see a 2-0, something like that happening. I think Brendan's going to really push the boys to put some real gloss on the scoreline. And I think for the first time, maybe the bench could be quite effective for us, but it will be quite determined on who we start. I think nil is on the cards. Like, we've been so good with clean sheets, and like Kilmarnock so far this year, if I can just go and pull up their league form, I know there's been some action or whatever, but 6 goals scored in 4 games. I think that's not something to be terribly frightened of from our perspective. I think Iheanacho gets to start, so I can just see him getting a goal or 2. Negren's always in amongst it. I think Balakwisha's got to get off the mark, and I can see Tanecki being making an impact off the bench. So in my mind, I could count up 4 or 5 that I think we could maybe get, which is just, as soon as I say that, I laugh at myself because it's been 0-0 for 4 games in a row. You know what I mean? But you've got to feel that inside the camp they're going, right, boys, when we get to the pitch, let's put all this crap to one side, score some goals, get the fans back on board, and let's get our season up and running. And that's the prevailing thought I can't shake, is what we're going to get on the day. And I think if that is the case, I'm going to say 3-0. I'm going to try and contain myself a little bit. 3-0.
I was just thinking it would be quite funny, Quinny, if everybody walked in 12 minutes and we were 2-0 up.
Then we didn't score again after that.
We're here now. It's like 2-0. It's like, yeah, it's just gonna park your bus now and just pass it about at the back or whatever. But aye, I mean, yeah, even Callum McGregor was one of the ones that was leading the call for players to come in. So I think that I don't think the players will be really like too annoyed with the fans on that or whatever. It'll just be whatever it is, what it is, and we go for there. So they'll be professional about it, obviously.
Good luck, Jay, on the streak. I don't know about you, McBride, but I'm entering the Sorare Championship. So this is a Sorare Celtic Supporters Club. There's a link to a bunch of market credit or in-game credit by clicking on the link. It's on the show here, as always. But this week they're doing this. This will run every month, as far as I'm led to believe, throughout the European season. And this is their method of giving away all their VIP access stuff, money can't buy experiences, whatever. I'm playing a Celtic stack. So you play this for 5 weeks and your 3 best scores are taken. You can only play players to cap 280, I think it is. So again, if you want an explainer, there's a video on the channel. You'll find a video on my main channel as well to go through it in a bit more detail. But using Mitov at home to Livingston, I've managed to get together a bit of a Celtic thing here. So top prize, now bearing in mind this won't be paid out at the end of the weekend. This is over 5 weeks and it's only the top 3 scores of your team is what counts on the leaderboard, okay? Top prize is 2, so that's you plus 1, VIP tickets to El Clasico with €1,000 in expenses. Sign me up, man. I'm going for that. Second prize is the same thing, but it's Aston Villa versus Liverpool. Again, €1,000 of expenses. And then in third place, it's Atletico Madrid. And the VIP tickets in Atletico Madrid are mint. The Metropolitano, the Wanda, is some stadium. I've seen the pictures. I've seen other people that have went there. Again, €1,000 in expenses. And then fourth and fifth. Fourth gets first choice, and then fifth has to take what they're given. But it's the same VIP tickets, but no expense account. Nice versus Lille or Newcastle versus Spurs. For us up here, Newcastle versus Spurs is not too bad a fixture to go to VIP. Signed jerseys from 6th to 20th, and this will be from the top 4 leagues in European football. And then there's just regular match day shirts from this year, from 21st to 40th. And then from 41st to 100, this is the one that I think if you're anyone out there playing on a budget, starting out tomorrow, whatever, this is over 5 weeks. Your best free scores are taken into account. You can buy old cards of any scarcity. You can buy old limiteds, which are very cheap. They're like £1 or £2. But if you can get to the top 100, you get 2 regular tickets, just match day tickets for the Prem, for La Liga, for Bundesliga or Liga 1. So if you want to do some football tourism, you want to go down to a Premier League match, free tickets for the top 100 there is a good place to be. So I'm going with a wee Celtic stack in there on top of all my usual stuff. Then see I seen you got the Tuneki one of 100 earlier today, McBride, or yesterday. Are you going to go after any of the jersey mints?
I got the Kieran Tierney 63 there as well. I'd put in a wee bid for that, so that's an absolute banger. I really wanted that, obviously, because that's his number, right? And it looks really good with the number on the card. So, but I like it's a good competition. That, to be honest, like that's like you said, you don't really need to go that daft in terms of like cards and stuff to compete in it. You can spend a wee bit less, but that Tierney 63 is absolutely brilliant in it.
And Van de Beek was a special as well. That's good.
That's right. Yeah. Aye. But yeah, that's a great one, obviously. And I don't have as many like obviously because Tierney was away, like it was all Arsenal cards and stuff, so I don't really have as many of him. So I thought if I'm going to get one, then I'm getting KT 63. So yeah, I love that one. It's a belter.
Well, Joe, I think I got KT number 3. But yeah, that's an absolute beauty, mate. I really like the jersey editions this year. They're really good cards. All the editions I think this year have been quite slick, haven't they?
Yeah,
but yeah,
I think they're looking. The designs are pretty good now, and like when you see them like against like the dark background or on the app and stuff like that, like they just they're standing out a bit more, So it's just the designs improving obviously as things go on and a lot of fun. So
yeah, so it's all the shirt number cards that are out today and tomorrow over the next couple of days. The limiteds look quite nice, don't they? The yellow ones.
Yeah. I'm trying not to go too daft because like I really spent a lot this season, but
and again to show you, I bid on the McGregor. I might go back for it, but I've got a champion edition McGregor from the first season, and I thought, see if I win this, I'll probably get. I didn't get a good edition of McGregor last year. There were some specials, as you'll know, McBride, like lava and different bloody blah things. So I thought, if I get this one, I might make that a wee mini mission of getting as many special McGregors as I can somehow. So there's like 5 of them now. But yeah, so that's quite cool. That's quite fun.
Because he keeps the same shirt number as well. Like, the thing is, like, those are things that, like, even when he stopped playing, like, you can just like have them in your gallery and just have that as like a sort of digital keepsake, you know. And he's like, you use them all the time just now. We were kind of like talking earlier about how like he plays in every game or whatever, but that's perfect for fantasy football, right? That's what you want. So
yeah, that's my champion edition one, the old one there.
Yeah,
and yeah, get the collections out and all that.
Definitely. Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend, and then there's loads coming up. We've got the Europa League, and you know, if we go over the Champions League disappointment and everything, we should have more winnable or better fixtures for fantasy football there than we would have done in the Champions League and stuff like that. Especially the home games. You know, everybody finds it a bit harder away from home, and you know, you're not really going to dominate those games in terms of stats, but you know, big European night with about 10,000 fans in the stadium. I don't know how many. Honestly, how let's we're finishing predictions. How many fans do you think will be at those games?
I'm going to say about 20,000.
I think it's going to be low because I mean I think somebody said until like the last couple of days there was 8,000 or 9,000 people had cancelled their home ticket scheme. Now I do get that there's a waiting list for season tickets and everything. And I think that there'll be some people will say, well, I'll take this as my chance to go to games, but I really think like 140 quid for the package, £35 a ticket. But a lot of people just say, okay, I'll just watch it in the telly or whatever. So I think I wouldn't go as low as 20,000, but I think that it'll be maybe between 25 and 35. I don't see like anywhere near sellouts or anything for these games. I think like people are really going to take a stance.
Yeah, same. I think it will just be anyone that is just like, maybe if I'm only in Scotland that week and how could I not go to a game? You might get a wee bit of that. And if you are like a parent, you've got a kid and it's been nightmare to get tickets for you, I could imagine some people kind of giving into that, I suppose. But I do think by and large it will be mass. Unlike I've maintained, right, because I think when you're angry, you have to know what's going to get you out of being angry. So I've maintained the thing that will stop me being angry at the club is somebody gets fired and we get some material like, this is the problem, this guy's out of a job, this is the new guy, or we're recruiting a new guy or whatever. Or depending on how the sequence goes, Brendan gets a new contract. Brendan signs on and there's like things in his contract that protect us all from that nonsense or whatever. You need to have something, So they're the things that I think, and if any of those things happen, I'll probably be quite happy to go to Europa League, to be honest with you, regardless of the climate of everything else, because really what more, we can't go back in time. We can't pick up the spilled milk and all that, So if somebody gets sacked and there's material change afoot, or if Brendan is the one that can kind of hold them to task with some sort of contract clauses or whatever. I've mentioned this somewhere, McBride. I can't remember if it was me and you, but the Iheanacho deal really did feel like a petty kind of deal, because it was like, Brendan said, Ida doesn't leave without a replacement. And if we didn't get Iheanacho in, that would have been a big thing getting hung over the place right now, maybe internally by Brendan or whatever, but even by us out here. Like, the manager said you can't do this and you done it. So it felt like Iheanacho was a wee bit of a token move in some ways as well, because it was like, Ida is gone. And if we don't get a physical person to come in and take his shirt, then maybe they were on the hook for something. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into something that's not there, but I would take a new contract for Brendan. I would take a change of powers it be, whoever it's meant to be. As long as it's not a scapegoat feeling. If he feels like a scapegoat, I think we'll be able to read that, won't we? I mean, a material proper, wow, Peter Lawwell's been bagged, or wow, Nicholson's been bagged, or whatever. I'm not saying for anyone in particular. I don't know who it should be, but whoever it is, that person.
Yeah, or even like, rather than like somebody being sacked or whatever, they just say like, all right, you guys are good at controlling the financial things, you're good at the accountancy side of things, but this is a football club, so there has to be like a structure where you've got like a director of football, or you've got like more control in terms of like the signings are going to be signed. Like, we're not privy to everything, right? But when you talk about budgets and stuff like that, like, you know, if you went in there, right? So say, for example, say, right, Quinny, you are the director of football, right? You would want them to say, okay, this is your budget, you know, so we're going to give you £20 million to spend. This is the wage structure and stuff like that. And if there's any outgoings, you get a certain amount of that based on how, like, so a percentage of that. You wouldn't want to be going in and going, right, I've identified this guy at 4 million or whatever and waiting 2 or 3 weeks for approval. You want to go and do the business because, like, you know, so all this chat that's coming out or whatever is about, you know, like maybe they identify the players, but then, you know, Nicholson's, right, I've got a degree and, you know, I know how to negotiate. 8 million, I'm going to go in at 4. I'll get a deal done. You know, I'll make sure I get some value. I feel as if we've become obsessed by like Moneyball and value and all that type of stuff. Like, you know, the guy's worth 5 million or whatever, and the club wants 5 million, and he's a good young player. You just pay the 5 million, and we ended up kind of getting railroaded into paying 5 million for Tanekte or whatever, and we'll see if he's actually worth that. But he's probably worth about what Kuhn was worth when we signed him, or, you know, should be in that bracket, and we've ended up paying a bit more. So even if the guys stay there and they're running some elements of the club in terms of like the financial side of things, that would be okay as long as you had an actual footballing operation that had a good budget and they had control over transfers and bringing guys in the team. What you can't have is Michael Nicholson running about himself like in the last day of the transfer window, not phoning people back because he's doing other deals, the Yang deal collapsing because there's a deadline at 7 and Celtic are trying to do other. You can't have, that's just not professional, right? You need to have a footballing operation. So I don't think it's that realistic that people will just get sacked, right? I know what you're saying, that, like, you know, if there's some change, you know, if Lawwell said, this is my time, I'm going to announce I'm going to step down or whatever, then people would cheer that on as a bit of a celebration. But see if things don't change in the background, for me, that doesn't really matter. You know, like, you know, if you don't have an Ange who comes in and just says, I'm going to buy all the value markets, I'm going to do my business early, and I'm going to tell them how it's done, then I'll get that point across, and then they'll say, aye, all right, because that guy's 2 million. If you don't have somebody like that, if you get Brendan Rodgers there saying, yeah, but I want it done, but also I want a guy at 10 million or whatever, and like, you know, it's just nothing's going to change, really. So there's got to be some sort of change in the footballing operations. And I mentioned earlier, Gannon Doak, whatever it's called now, like, you know, if we're going to be bringing guys through or whatever, then it's imperative that when they come through, they get their chance. Like, you know, like Stain Murray's actually getting his chance or whatever, you know, and he looks like a good player. But, like, you know, been other ones that have come through and you're just like, yeah, I don't think there's any real belief amongst the young players or whatever that will ever actually get into the Celtic team, you know, and so what is the pathway? And we talk about pathways and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, should Adidas, by the way, did you see the one they did for, is it Juventus or something? Like there was in a third kit. Or just another like absolute banger. I keep looking at these Adidas kits and going, what have they actually given to us? Like seriously? See that one they did for Roma with the green, white, and gold? That would have been that would have like been an unbelievable seller. And they're like, why they done it for Roma? Like Celtic is green, white, and gold. I don't get it. I just feel as if just between all of that type of stuff and the commercial side and the statements and everything, they've just missed the mark completely. They've just become disconnected. So
Panathinaikos got a good one as well. I seen Liverpool with a good one in the last week. It was like a green one. Somebody said to me it was West Germany vibes. I thought that was quite accurate, actually.
Yeah.
But it's a nice Liverpool green one. They dropped some merch today. It's a bit pricey as it always is, but I quite like a lot of the merch that dropped today. I don't know if you've seen it yourself. It's called Terrace Icons.
It looked good, but they never really we're in a scenario, Quinny, where stuff comes out and they can't promote it because they know there's going to be a backlash. Like that is where the club is. You're talking about a world-class organisation where they're launching stuff and they can't actually come and say, oh, look at this new range we've launched, because they know they're going to get absolute pelters in that post. But who's created that? Like, are we just all mad and this 95% of the people voting are all went off their head, or is like they've lost it? So, you know, the statement and stuff was ridiculous. Like, it was just, just like you just made it worse.
Do you know what they should do? They should give me a bunch of the stuff to put on the show.
That's what they should
unbox it and that. That's what they should do. That will sell some stuff. Give me some freebies.
You'll have more chance of selling it than Nicholson and Lawwell. That's what they should do. Do you know what they should do? They should make Michael Nicholson go to the superstore and stand behind the counter and like sell stuff to people.
You only get to talk to him for 30 seconds at the checkout, but they would sell out, wouldn't they? They would sell out. Everyone would buy something and then go back to the back of the queue and buy something else, wouldn't they?
You would be standing there with like a hard hat on, and it was like, see if you go into a bank or whatever, and like they've got like all the screens up in case somebody comes in with like a gun to steal all the money. Like, it would be Nicholson standing behind this this screen, like 2 security guards, a hard hat on, and like people would come in and it's just like, right, if you buy this shirt, then you can just give them like 30 seconds of abuse or whatever, and like everybody would be queuing up or whatever to actually doing it. I mean, like I'm sure he's a nice guy or whatever, and I'm sure he's intelligent. He's got a degree. He's runs like Celtic have got loads of money. We've been successful and stuff like that. But like, if you're going to be in that position in a huge organization, then at some point, if things go wrong, you need to address it in a personable way. Or even if he doesn't do it, even if somebody else comes out and like is the front of it, but because the manager who's been fronting the media has been actually complaining about the transfer business, so somebody has to actually address it and show some sort of like be apologetic or some empathy or something with the fans, not just putting out a statement that looks like somebody's just like, how can we be clever here? Oh, we'll defend ourselves here. Yeah, like say that, and fuck, it's just a nonsense, man. Defensive.
Do you think what you've just kind of highlighted there, it's just kind of brought it back home for me. We're going to hear from Brendan Rodgers tomorrow, and that the club have not come out yet at all. There's that AI statement, right? But that doesn't count. That's not actually like, we're expecting there was rumours of Michael Nicholson going on Sky, and then it was rumours of Michael Nicholson. They had a board meeting, and we're going to hear the results of it later on or something. Brendan Rodgers is going to be at a press conference tomorrow, and I'm actually just realising all this is happening. Today's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. I can't believe that I cannot believe that they've not spoke out. I thought we would have got like a proper, some sort of reaction, not that AI crap, but within a day or two of the window closing. And I thought, okay, maybe by like yesterday, today is like the absolute limit, I think, for it, because as of tomorrow, it's match day season. I can't believe they've got all the way here without facing the music, and they're going to send Brendan into it tomorrow. The press conference tomorrow is going to be a bloody circus.
They've just like buried their head in the sands, in the sand. Sorry, not the sands. They've buried their head in the sand and just like, it's like if you get bad news or whatever, you don't want to tell somebody something, and you're like, I'm just going to send them a text, but you're texting them, you're going, I think I should pick up the phone and talk to them. It's like that thing, like, totally. Like, I'm not saying that you put Nicholson out and he gets a mic and he's like addressing the fans live at the stadium or anything, but you could sit down and do a pre-recorded interview or something and just say, right, these are the questions we want you to ask, and then we're gonna address them. But like, they've just not really addressed a lot of the points that have come up. But the issue is going to be that, like, as soon as they see soon, Joe, when it will be addressed? When it will be addressed is when they're selling these packages, and somebody will be sitting counting all the numbers, and they'll be going, aye, so for the Champions League we sold 50,000 of these, and how many you sold so far? Well, 9,500, and somebody will absolutely brick it, and they'll be going, oh, hang on, we'll need to get our abacus out here. Let's count that. So it's 35 quid a ticket and blah, blah, blah. How much did we get as a bonus last season? Right, what do we need to get that? No, 9,500 is not enough. And then it'll be like all that panic station stuff. Oh, we're going to have to do something now. Because I think they think that, like, the fans will just make a bit of noise and, we'll keep winning and people will be loyal and stuff. This is different. There's a full sea change of everybody is actually in the same sort of boat here, and we're going to do something about it. So like, I think you're right. They should have done something more than what they've done with that statement by now, but they're not going to now, and it's just going to be a media circus. And then when they don't sell the tickets for the Europa League or whatever, they're going to have to actually come out and address it properly, and that's what's going to happen, which is just shouldn't have happened.
For anyone just catching the show, somebody said earlier they are looking forward to the Europa League. They did caveat it by saying they're not looking forward to it as much as the first comment might have made you think. I've did a full preview of the 8 opponents we've got. I don't know if I would say I was optimistic, but I was like, Europa League will be fine. The draw was fine as well. But the Europa League, like, see if you look at all the teams in it, see like the range of opponents, like Aston Villa and Roma are like the best 2 teams really, and then from them down to like the worst teams, it's very narrow, and all the games we've got are against very similar level opponents. And having previewed all 8 teams that we're going to be playing against, this could be the preview will be out for all channel subscribers on the YouTube channel Saturday. For the Substack members, I think it's out there now. But it really, when you watch the video, you'll really see how far behind the curve we are transfer business wise for all measures. Like the first game we've got, and I'll leave you on this kind of note. The first game we've got is against Red Star. Red Star signed Marko Arnautovic this summer. You know what I mean? And they signed a guy, Radoncic, who some of you might know, who's pretty good as well. And they've got a few other, Rade Krunic, who they just brought in from Fenerbahce, former AC Milan player. And a guy, Veljkovic, who's been playing in the Bundesliga for Werder Bremen for a number of years. Still Young Woo from the K League. Anyway, you can catch the video. But anyway, man, this Europa League is going to be mad tough. It's going to be mad. I'm not taking anything for granted there.
I agree. I thought there, Quinny, do you know what I would do? This is thinking outside the box. I would, if I was like at Celtic, I would just like contact Paddy Power and get the guys that do their media account and get them to take over our media account. Just be like, yes, right, we've got a statement for you. We've got an announcement. It's Michael Nicholson. He's doing some after dinner speaking a night at Celtic Park with Michael Nicholson. Just like actually bring it back to like just having a bit of fun about it and just get him on and just like have somebody just ribbing him a bit and just answering some questions and just like actually address it in some way. Like, just not this stupid stuff we're sending out. Not stupid, they think it's clever, but they think we are stupid and like talk, we've got this these regulations and everything to adhere to that they're absolutely nowhere near being in breach of. Just absolute complete nonsense. Like anybody with half a brain at all knows that if you're selling players all the time, you're generating income and you're never going to be in trouble with like profit and sustainability rules and stuff because you're actually generating your own money and you're getting money in. Like it's just rubbish. So yeah, they need to take a change in attitude and like towards fan engagement and stuff like that. And until they do that, I don't see this changing really soon.
Yeah, I agree. I said on Axom it would be a good thing. Oh shit, what was it? It was oh yeah. What they should do is what Jim Ratcliffe tried to do at Man United and he get interviewed by Neville. He tried to like get in with the fans and clear the air and whatever.
Yeah.
If they wanted to do something like that, they should get Sutton to interview them. Imagine Chris Sutton interviewing Nicholson.
Yeah.
That would be brilliant.
He would be box office. Yeah. And the thing is, like everybody would watch that and like it would be put it up on YouTube or whatever, like 2 million views or whatever within about 2 days. Like that would be, that's what I mean. Like do something a bit different, He doesn't even have to be live. You don't have to expect the guy to come on and entertain everybody, but like do it and get some content out there that sort of addresses some of these points. Get the fans back on board because otherwise nobody's buying the Adidas stuff. Nobody's buying Europa League packages. And the thought I had earlier was this thing they were saving for a rainy day, but the board have actually caused the rainy day. Yeah,
I think so too. And let's maybe campaign for that. Sutton to interview Nicholson or Desmond or whoever. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
We'll get it on CeltsAreHere.
We'll get it on here. We'll get front row tickets. Do a watch along for it. Smash the like button, guys, if you've enjoyed the show tonight as well. Of course, good luck for the weekend. If you're going to the game, enjoy or do your best or whatever. I don't know what the expression is, but the protest, give it your all or get stuck into it, all that good stuff. We're at 57 likes. We like to get 67 when we're live. So before me and McBride go to our bed, that would be nice. 88 is a magic number as well, as we, of course, as you know. But on this channel, guys, we're smashing likes all the time. Getting through 200, 250. We're getting more subscribers all the time. You guys all seem to love the content here on the channel. And hopefully we're getting back to the football so we can get our hands dirty back into the good stuff. And let's just hope we get some goals to talk about finally. Hail, hail, everyone. Won the hoops.
Sack aboard.